Well, welcome back on board the Salty Badger, but as you can see, we're not actually on the Badger. We're in my kitchen, and we have a delivery from Amazon. Ordered this last night, and it's here already today. That's Amazon Prime for you. Let's have a look, see what we've got, eh? Ooh, new boat lights. Squid lights. That's the plan. Set these up on the back of the boat, and we're going to have some nighttime and daytime squid fishing lights. Let's open them up. Let's open this one up and let's see what we get for our money. Okay, so really nice looking light there. Simple screw pack. Now that's going to be sufficient. I think that's a gasket. That will probably a sticky gasket to go on the back. Okay, probably like a couple of meters worth of cable there. Cover. I'd imagine this comes off to get that plastic off the edge. Okay, yep, that comes off. I'll just take this film off. I might just go and grab a small battery and just connect these on just to make sure that they work before I install. Okay, so I've got an old 12-volt battery here. Used to connect a few things up on a kayak on this, so you can see it's seen a better days, a bit of corrosion. Let's have a look to see if these lights work. There we go. Whoa, it's pretty bright. Okay, that one works. This is the second one. Yep, they both work. Pretty cool. All right, so now we'll go out to the boat and we're going to see where we're going to fit these things. Okay, so here she is, the old Badger. Let's grab one of these lights. Let's have a look where we can fit these things down here. Okay, so here we go. Underneath the boat, there's the trim tabs on the port side, next to the burley muncher. As you can see, it's pretty limited for space. I'm thinking perhaps maybe going to need to go here. Let me just take this burley muncher out. Alright, so that's got that out of the way. You can see now that I can probably fit this here. I guess my concern is routing the cables, because there's only a single gland there for getting the cable in to the boat for the trim tabs. I may have to go around here and into this port here where the cable for the transducer goes. And again, a little bit of limited space here. Squid light may need to go there. Let's just have a look how that fits. Could end up putting it somewhere around here and then going straight up through that port there. Should be able to get the cable from the port side through a little gap there and both come in through that port there where the transducer is currently going through. Hopefully I can get 3 cables through it. Let's have a look. So you can see back on the port side I have that small hole there. I'll feed the cable through there. This is hollow up underneath here where the ram for the bar flap is. So I should be able to reach under, grab this cable, pull that through, place it here maybe, pop it there. I guess what we'll just need to make sure is that there's not too much of the burley muncher in the way. Just a little concerned, if anything, that too much of the light will be obscured. Get that burley pot back. Okay, so with the burley pot back in, certainly doesn't want to be too close to there, because every time I take this in and out I could end up whacking this, so we don't want that, but maybe around there. I don't think that's too bad a spot there. Looking at the fitting of these, I'm going to need to drill a hole to feed the cable in here and then feed the cable through somehow. Alright, challenge number 1. Okay, so I think you can see from this angle we're going to be putting a hole in around here and then feeding that cable through here, underneath, through the other side, and then through that other hole. Just put the burley pot back in just so I make sure I get this in the right place. And this is going to go around here. So our hole for the cable needs to be there. Always dead nervous about drilling into boats. Actually, I've just noticed, because of this boss here, that hole's got to be significantly larger. So I'm going to re-drill that hole bigger. Bit more torque. Is that going to be big enough? Perhaps not. Time to get the big guns out. Let's measure it properly with some verniers. Zero that. Measure this. So we want the hole to be 10 mil. 10 mil. That hole to be 10 mil, and it should go through. Some drill bits here. 10 mil. Wow, looks like a big hole, that. Jeez. Anyway, let's give it a go. 10 mil. It's your 10 mil hole. Oh, looks like a big hole in a boat, that. Okay, now the challenge is to get this cable through there. Alright, let's have a go at feeding this through. Look at that! No drama. Alright, now I'm always a bit conscious about doing this, because what I don't want the burrs on this to actually affect the integrity of the cable, but it should be fine. Should have maybe deburred that hole. The moment of truth. Is the hole the right size? Beautiful. How's that? Straight in. No drama. Now, challenge number 2. I didn't think of that. Is getting a screw in there. Really want to be taking the ram off. Might have to take this bottom part of the Electra tab. Not sure whether we're showing that. It's a good fit, but this screw here is behind the Electro tab, behind the trim tab. So I might have to take the ram off there to get that on. Let's put my marks here where the next drilling needs to take place. There and there. Okay, so again with the verniers, the screws supplied, 3.4mm, 4mm. So I've just had a look, and definitely the ram is going to need to come off to get that screw in there. So this ram is now coming off. Well, that's just spinning. We could get a screwdriver. Okay, so that now has the ram off. I'll probably hold this up here while I drill these two holes. Should be able to do that one-handed easy enough. Make sure I don't drill through the cable, eh? That would be a disaster. Obviously, these are stainless steel screws. This is an aluminium boat, so you never really mix your metals unless you're going to put some inhibitor on there. So I'm just going to go and get that now. The inhibitor I use is Duralac. It's not the most friendly of materials. I don't think it's very good for you, so you have to be a little bit careful in how you handle it. I'll be honest with you, I always end up with a bit on my finger, so I'll make sure I wash my hands straight after. Give it a bit of a shake because it's like an oily, it's got linseed oil or something in it. I'm just going to dip the screws in it. As you can see, it's like a yellowy substance. It smells nice. So before I put the light on here, I'm just going to check this screw and make sure it will go in to that hole. So it's undersized, but the idea is it's going to self-tap its thread. So I'll be nice and steady with this. That's it all the way through. The other thing I need to check is that these screws aren't too deep. And I don't think they will be. I think they should be okay. What we don't want them doing is to actually end up going into the superstructure of the boat. And I think they are perhaps a little bit too long. All right, so we're back at it. I've had a bit of a change of plan. I did say that I was going to cut off those screws a little bit so that it didn't hit the superstructure of the boat. I've elected against that. I've actually gone and bought some more screws from Bunnings that are sheet metal self-tappers, so I should be able to get them into there properly. I've probably got to drill that hole a little bit wider. Just going to try them first, see how they go. So again, I'll just put a little bit of Duralac on these. Just helps lubricate them a little bit as well whilst I'm tapping this screw. hopefully this will go in. Okay, so that looks pretty good there. Do this one. Perfect. Okay. And actually, this template I think is double-sided sticky taped, so I can actually peel this off. And attach this to the right spot, hopefully. Like so. Like so. A more Durac. Not too tight. First one in. Okay, so apart from the wiring, that's the first one on. I'll now put this trim tab back on. Good job. Okay, so that's got the trim tab back on, nice and secure. Just going to feed this through now. We'll see how much cable we've got when we're all the way through. Okay, so now we're over on the starboard side, and you can see what we've got to contend with here. We've got a TM185 1 kilowatt transducer. The trim tabs again, so I might have to take this ram off. But then they'll all need to go up through this point here, which you can see when I put the transducer in, I used a liberal amount of sealant, so that's all going to have to come off. And I know that on the other side, I put so much sealant on, we're going to have a bit of a game digging that out. Okay, right, so first things first, as most men do, I'm sure, you install these things without looking at the instructions. This is a template. So if I stick this here, we can just stick it on and drill accordingly. Save me mucking about. I could come a little bit further over to here, and then we don't have to worry about the trim tab. It's going to look a little bit different, but who really looks underneath the boat? I think we'll do that. We'll put it there, because I should get, mind you, we're going to get quite a loss of light because of the transducer and the trim tabs. It won't necessarily throw down, it'll throw out. Looking at the design of them, they probably only throw out anyway. We'll go with that. Let's just put it there. I'm not sure if you can see that because it was underneath the transducer, but it's going to go there. Might switch over to a head cam for this. Okay, so I switched over to the neck mount here, so you should be able to see that a little bit better. How does that look? Yeah, that looks okay. All right. So let's start with our small holes. And then we've got a 10mm hole for the for the main cable. Obviously I'll need to drill a pilot hole for this. Might do a couple of pilot holes. This one's quite blunt. That one needs a sharpen. Let's go up to a 6. It's a big old jump from a 6 to a 10. Okay, I'm going to feed some cables through. Feed this through. Hopefully I'll have as much success as I did with the first one, and it came straight out. Yes. Just before I take the backing off that, I just want to make sure that that hole fits. Beautiful. Okay. How does that look? Pretty good. Okay. Alright, so I can take the backing off that. I might just tap these screws first, just in case. A little bit of Duralac. Okay, let's take this off. Right, cover on, screws in. Both lights on. All right, well, that's one part of the project done. So we've got light on the starboard side, light on the port side. The wiring has run through till we get to this point here, and I think what I'm going to do is do this as a two-parter. So that's part one, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. Stay tuned for the next part. Hopefully we'll see the internal wiring and we'll see the finished product. Cheers, guys.